All right, this is Roger Bianchini with the Royal Examiner Town Talk. I'm here with Bruce Townsend. Bruce, good to see you.
You too, Roger. Thanks.
And Bruce, you've recently been elected chairman of the new Sheriff's Office Community Advisory Council. And I wonder, for starters, just tell us a little bit about the impetus and the mission of that.
Well, thanks. You're correct, Roger, and thanks for asking. The Community Advisory Council for the Sheriff's Office is the brainchild of the new sheriff, Mark Butler. When he took office in January, one of the things he really wanted was a way for the community to be able to speak back to the sheriff's office in a way that hadn't been done before. There were, of course, town meetings and phone calls and 911, of course. But what Sheriff Butler wanted was an informal, sort of almost like a back channel way for the community to talk to the sheriff's office through people who are members of the community. And that's where the Community Advisory Council came from.
So the council is entirely made up of citizens.
Completely citizens. We are completely volunteers. We are
Not a paying job.
It is a non-paying job. Although I like to joke that as the chairman, my salary is twice that of all the other members.
Yes. Double or nothing, right? Or double and nothing.
Double and nothing.
But the sheriff, you say he wanted to create a more direct line to citizens for issues that they see going on perhaps in their neighborhoods, or complaints they might have about service from the department, or everything?
A little bit of everything, really. The way I like to describe it is that the Community Advisory Council, or the CAC, we'll just call it for short, the CAC is not another way for the Sheriff's Department to have its eyes and ears on the community. Rather, it's a way for the community to have their eyes and ears on the Sheriff's Office. And his vision was that, precisely like you said, it's a way for the community to bring issues, problems, points of discussion, perhaps complaints, although there is a very separate way. If you've got a complaint with the sheriff's office, there are ways to do that don't involve the CAC. But it was a way for the community to share their views, maybe concerns about any wide range of issues that affect law enforcement and the sheriff's office here in Warren County.
And you showed me a membership list. It appears to 15 members, all citizens, like you said. And citizens now that may have input one way, something they want to bring up to sheriffs, how would they approach the council?
That's
our CAC, as we say.
The CAC. That's a great question. And one of the reasons that I'm here today is, first off, to let the community know that we exist. There were a couple of, I think, town talks done earlier this year.
I was the first one. You let me know that.
But I guess there were a couple done with Deputy Robbie Seal and other members of the sheriff's office that kind of let the community know that they were forming the CAC. And there was an announcement in the Royal Examiner accepting applications for it. That's how I found out about it. And the reason that I came out today to do this was, again, just to let the community know that we exist. And there were 15 current members, and before we leave today, I'm going to let everybody have my email address. If you'd like to reach out to me, I can get the word to the rest of the council members. And the other council members, at their discretion, will maybe furnish their email addresses as well at some point in the future.
So do you have direct input through you as chairman with the sheriff, or do you work with one of the administrators, one of his administrators, like Robbie or somebody, that is like a liaison between you and the sheriff?
Another great question. There's really no direct liaison between me and either the sheriff or one of his chief deputies. The way it works is, if something was brought to my attention, a community or county issue, I would probably immediately respond to whoever got a hold of me, but then I would let the sheriff know through email, and I would courtesy copy probably Major Driscoll and Lieutenant Seal at the same time, and let the sheriff's office, go from there.
We both have been stumbling over that.
Yeah, police department, sheriff's office. I got it. But if I wanted to, I could certainly email the sheriff directly or call the office directly. I do have his number, and he has mine. I don't envision the CAC as being an emergency direct link to the sheriff. We meet about every 2 months, and it's at those meetings those are designed for where we would bring our observations, our information, our issues to the sheriff and the rest of the sheriff's office.
So this is the sheriff's initiative. He wanted this to happen.
Yes,
so
he did.
He's not trying to insulate himself from you. It's just the nature of communications within a major department. I think one of the biggest in the county government.
If it isn't the biggest department in the county government, I'm not sure which one is. Maybe. But yeah, it is. You're precisely correct. It's the sheriff. One of the sheriff's ways of being able to stay more connected directly to the community at large. Like I said, we meet about every 2 months, and our role, our mission, our role, our guidelines, if you want to put it that way, are simply to bring issues that we are able to pick up as community members ourselves and take them to the sheriff's office. Earlier, you asked about, maybe a patrol issue, the visibility of the deputies in one area of the county or another. And at our very first meeting, that was one of the things that the sheriff himself brought up, is he had heard through means prior to our establishment that in some parts of the county, they didn't think they saw enough of the sheriff's office, and in other places, they thought perhaps they were being over-patrolled.
Right.
So one of our things to do is to kind of touch base with the community, keep our finger on the pulse. What is the community in each of the areas where we all live? What do they think? What do they think the real issue is?
So if a citizen on Apple Mountain or Lakefront Royal has an issue, over patrol, not enough patrol, you are a target for that kind of information.
I don't know if I'd call myself a target, but I'm certainly a point of contact.
Point of contact. Okay, we'll use that. You said the plan is to meet every 2 months.
Correct.
But in your formation stage, when did you first meet? How many meetings have you had to get things to the point you're at now with a 15-member council?
We started, our very first meeting was in July, and that was sort of a get acquainted meeting. The sheriff's office representatives, Major Driscoll, the sheriff, Lieutenant Seal, they all introduced themselves to us, and we in turn introduced ourselves to the sheriff's office. And that meeting was basically to let us know what the sheriff's vision for us is, and to see if we wanted to stick with it. And I think, I don't remember for sure, I think there were 12 of us at that first meeting. Now, if you were to go on the sheriff's office...
Is that when you were electing officers as well?
Not yet. That came a month later. It was basically to let us, to people who were there, to decide, do you really want to be on the CAC? Is this for you, or is it not for you? It was very much an informational type of meeting. We met 1 month later in August, and that's where nominations were forwarded and the 3 officers were elected. I was nominated and elected to be the chair. A gentleman by the name of Mike Olmsted is the vice chair, and Katie McComas is our secretary. And if you go on the website for the sheriff's office, it says the CAC is comprised of 10 people. Well, as you can see, we've already surpassed that. We had 15, and the public, anybody who wants to come to the meetings is allowed to do so. It's wide open. It's not just for the members.
Does the 15 seem like it's going to be a pretty stable number now for a while?
I hope so, because what that does is it gives us the ability, if somebody is away for the holidays or a work commitment that they can't make the meeting, we have enough others to really be able to bring the community issues to the attention of the sheriff.
A little more on public participation. You say your all's meetings are open to the public.
Yes, they are.
And where do you meet? Do you meet at the sheriff's office?
We meet at the sheriff's office, right there in the big, I guess you call it a function room. As you go into the building, it's immediately to the left.
Right across the street from Skyline High School.
Precisely.
Right. Okay. What would you say, time-wise and goal-wise, you hope to achieve, say, within the first 6 months of the next year? Or has it gotten that specific yet?
We haven't gotten quite that specific. We're still really in the forming stage. Since the election of officers, we've had one other meeting. That was in October, and our next meeting is next week, as a matter of fact. we are still finding our way on how we're going to interact with the sheriff's office itself. And the sheriff's office is still figuring out the best way to make use of us and what we bring to the table.
Have your meetings, since your board was established at 10, 12, or 15, have other members of the public that just wanted to see what was going on come or volunteered any information? You've had public participation by
We've-
non-members so far?
We have not had any non-members participate so far, but at the last meeting, we had one more person show up and had filled out an application and became a member of the council. And we were all very pleasantly surprised by that there are people who want to be a part of this group and bring to the table their perspectives of where they think the county is going and where it should go, at least through the sheriff's office.
And I think 15 membership is a pretty good sign. Have that many people sign up for this,
It is.
especially after hearing that it may actually entail some work.
I wouldn't call it work. I certainly love what I'm doing and what the rest of us are doing with this. Work is probably not the right term, but paying attention is probably a better one. And again, the reason I wanted to come here today was to let the community know we exist. And if you have an observation you'd like to make about the sheriff's office, or perhaps a suggestion and you don't want to talk with the sheriff or one of the deputies directly, that's what we here on the CAC are for, to bring your issues, your perspective, your observations, your complaints, if you want to do that, to the attention of the sheriff.
And if they didn't want to come to the meeting, they can contact you directly about their issues.
Yes, they can.
You said you were going to give a contact email, I believe, before we leave. Not that
I
I'm
will.
gonna not that I'm going to cut you off right now, but I think we can possibly be winding down now. And also, I wanted to ask, have you a specific time every 2 months when you meet, like the second Thursday, or is your
Great
a
question.
specific?
We are set to meet on the third Thursday of every month, and of every other month. So our next meeting is next Thursday, the 17th of December. We'll be meeting at 6 p.m. at the Warren County Public Safety Office and the sheriff's office there. And our meetings go about 2 hours.
But you wouldn't have to stay for 2 hours if you had a specific issue
That's
to bring.
correct. No, if you're a member of the public and you just want to come and share with us whatever it is you want to share, no, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting at all.
I wish that was always true for me as well. Anything else you can think that we need to cover here?
Just that I want to make sure there are some limitations on what we as members of the CAC can do. We certainly do not influence policy or procedures within the sheriff's office itself. That's a completely different lane, and we stay out of that. Nor do we have access to any sort of inside information with the sheriff's office, any kind of ongoing investigation or anything like that. We
Right.
do not have a role in that whatsoever. But a good example of what the sheriff and the sheriff's office do use us for is they asked at the very first meeting after the election of officers, they asked us if we could take a look at a proposal for procuring new body cameras for all of the sheriff's deputies. And again, it's just a proposal at that point, and they asked us to review it. And several of us had some very good insight on what we think would be a good idea or not a good idea for the sheriff's office for body cameras, permanent, updated, and rather costly body cameras. As you probably know right now, the sheriff's office does not currently have them, at least not for everybody, so they're not using them.
And I guess that's very important, not only from a citizen's point of view to see how law enforcement functions, but for law enforcement to protect itself against frivolous accusations.
It is truly a double-edged sword, and precisely. But they asked us for our input and gave us a few days to gather that. I was happy to do it, and we forwarded that to the sheriff's office about a week, maybe 2 weeks, I guess, after that meeting.
And so your next meeting is next Thursday, the 17th?
Thursday night, December 17th, 6 p.m.
6 p.m. at the sheriff's office. And if somebody wanted to contact you for further information on that meeting, how would they do that?
Okay, again, my name is Bruce Townsend. I am the chairman of the Community Advisory Council for the Warren County Sheriff's Office. And if you would like to share your concerns with me or just get some more information, my email is capital B, RUTO, and then the number 3 at yahoo.com. So that's Bruto3 at yahoo.com. I'd be happy to hear from you, and whatever you share with me will stay between you and me, and I will bring it to the sheriff's office. If you would like me to not put your name on it, I certainly will honor your request.
And I think any kind of liaisoning like this between citizens and law enforcement, the community policing idea that's been prevalent around here with the police department and the sheriff's office for years, I think Robbie's been in the middle of that.
He has.
Lieutenant Seal, is very important to maintain the kind of relationship, community policing. You're part of the community. You're not an outside agency
We are not.
enforcing unenforceable regulations. You're part of the community to protect the community and work with the community. This is a great example of facilitating that.
I think you're correct, and one of the common threads from everybody who volunteered to be a part of the CAC was, in addition to wanting to be the eyes and ears for the community on the sheriff's office, but was a way of giving back to the community, being a servant in a small way, and I really appreciate that attitude from everybody.
All right. Well, Bruce Townsend, thank you for being here, and we will sign off this episode of Town Talk.
Thank you.